using the right outfit when you're fishing for certain size fish really helps you to enjoy them more. For example, I'm using a whole walleye series of walleye gear here. This is a walleye team rod. They're made by Rapala, and it's a 7-footer, medium action. And I have it loaded with a braided line, and it's a very special braided line. It's called Suffix 832 braid, and it's 10-pound test, which is the line diameter of 6-pound monofilament. So the reason I'm using the braid, and I think most walleye fishermen, especially if they're using jigs, should, is because I feel everything when I'm casting out. Because of the smaller diameter too. Barb, would you mind netting this fish?
Sure.
You can cast a lot farther, and because the braid has no stretch, you get some really good hook sets. Now, if it looks, Barb, like the minnow is outside of its mouth, look, it is. The only thing that's in his mouth is the stinger.
Wow.
So just wait one sec, Barb.
Okay,
there you go, right in the net. You know, it's funny, these fish are definitely feeding, but they're not hitting aggressively on the artificials. So you can see that that actual minnow that's on the jig head is about 4 inches away from that fish. So that was just on the stinger hook. So this guy's a bigger fish, and you're allowed to keep one fish that's over 18.1 inches. Well, we're going to be releasing it, and I got to be very careful because I have it under the gill plate, but I don't want to mess with the gill rakers because they're very sharp. So that actually is a good way to hold the fish, but don't get your hands in the gill rakers because you're going to get hurt. We're going to put him back in the net. We're going to put him in the water, so we haven't had him out very long. Pretty walleye, eh, Barb? I understand you've got lots of walleye that size here, so this is a very good walleye
They're a lot
lake.
darker than normal.
No problem. Just going to shake it, Barb.
Okay.
There he goes.
All
There,
right.
he's out of there. So what I've done, I've tied my jig head on to my fluorocarbon leader, and then I've taken one of these stinger hooks that has a very easy snap-on, snap-off clip, and I put it through the same eye. And I've chosen a 2-inch one because I'm only using a 2.5-inch little TriggerX minnow. So what I do is just position that stinger hook so that when it's in the minnow, it doesn't put a curve in the minnow. I want that minnow to sit nice and straight. So you can see that tail comes straight down. It doesn't go left or right. So what that does is gives me about another almost 3/4 of an inch of hook back. So if a fish is going to bite just the back end of the minnow, instead of missing it like I did the first 3 fish, he's going to get that stinger hook. And the only 2 fish that I've landed so far have had the stinger hook. Now let me show you the jigs that are actually designed to be used with the stinger hooks. I'm just going to put that one down, and I've got this one rigged up on the ultralight rod. See the way this jig head is? It has the eye on top, but then look, it has an eye on the bottom. That's not designed to tie your fishing line to. You always tie it up top. And it has a short shank, but a wide gap hook. So that hook really catches well. Now the reason it's got a short hook, and the reason it's got that second eye, is that you can take a stinger hook, just like the one I'm using, and you can see them in the package here, and I'm just going to flip it over so you can see the way it's rigged up. So you can see in the illustration there that the bottom part of the jig, that eye, is designed to snap on that stinger hook. So Barb, this is interesting. You're using a real minnow on a jig head. I'm using the TriggerX. And look, this is one with the stinger hook, and it's got the first hook actually changed to the proper jig head.
Okay.
Used for the stinger.
Yeah.
And it hit her really well. Do you want to try fishing with an artificial, Barb?
Sure.
And jigging? I'll put one of these on yours as well.
Okay.
I mean, the walleye are good size. We're 88 miles north of Chapleau. We actually left from Sudbury when we came up yesterday. So we're into an area that you can either fly in. There were some people that flew in. Did they fly in this morning or last night, Barb?
They flew in this morning from White River.
So, I mean, I enjoyed the train ride as much as flying in. And it's much easier to work all our gear because, of course, we're a camera crew, so we got tons of gear. Now, you can see I'm actually using one of the short shank jig heads. And what I wanted to show you was that that fish got hooked on the front hook. It had the stinger hook in there too, but that just means that it was really aggressive. So let's see if he's over 18 inches. He might be close. Just got to move all my baits that I've got out here, my rods, a little bit of house cleaning. Barb, do you think he's over?
Yep.
You do?
Yep.
Oh, he's over, Barb. Go back in the net, in the water. Look at how gorgeous these walleyes are. They're very well proportioned, nice bellies. I'm going to hold them like that so you can see them leave, because now we got a nice, bright, sunny sky. and watch them disappear. They'll go pretty well straight down. So you can see here, the paddle tail is that tail. It's actually got a tail that's perpendicular to the body. So when the water hits it, this tail slaps back and forth, and I'm going to show you in a minute. Versus the straight minnow that I was using earlier. Let me grab the packages and I'll show you. This is the way the TriggerX comes packaged. Either all the minnows are just in the actual Ziploc, or they're in a little container and they have the actual juice that has the pheromones in it. But you can see right here it says minnow. And again, it comes in a Ziploc bag so you can reseal it. And you can see that there's a little tray. We've got a little bit of condensation going on because the sun came out. But you can see the way they look. This is more the classic minnow color. Black back, pearl belly, and that paddle tail that goes from side to side. Now let me show you the action when I put that paddle tail in the water. So you can see if I move it, I'm going to keep it moving so that you can see the tail, but whether you let it drop down, lift it up, you see that tail action? It kind of slaps the water from side to side. That's why they call it a paddle tail. And I got a feeling that some of the bigger walleye are going to go for it when they're more aggressive. But I'm still sticking to that stinger hook. You can see it in the back of the bait. So all these plastics that are impregnated with the pheromones, they're called TriggerX, and they work really great. You can use minnows, and it's just funny though that I've been hitting more fish on the TriggerX than Barb has on the minnows. Maybe because I'm moving it more and I'm casting out from the boat even though we're drifting. We got a nice wind. We're fishing anywhere from about 7 to about 10, 11 feet of water. So Barb, why don't I put on one of the TriggerX on yours as well?
Sure.
Okay.
No problem.